Hey everyone, welcome to the Decorative Den, a look inside my craft room where I share all things crafting, planning, and cross stitch. My name is Charity and I am so happy to have you here with me today for Flosstube number 4. This is my first Flosstube update of 2025 and I am very excited to share with you some FFOs, a finish, and talk a little bit about my whips and my plans for 2025. So if you are interested in seeing all of that, then just keep watching. All right, so I'm going to jump right into my stitching and then we'll talk plans and things like that. I also have a couple Stitchy related Christmas presents to share with you at the end here. But let's go over some FFOs. I have 4 FFOs to share with you, and 3 of them are finishes that I did in December, and I did include them in my FFO parade, which was my first video of 2025, but I am going to share them here because I haven't talked about them in a regular update yet. And you know, there's always a chance someone hasn't seen the FFO parade, and so I wanted to make sure I included them here. So the first 2 I don't actually have with me anymore because they were gifts, but I will put pictures of the finishes on the screen here. So this one is, I call it Woodstock Turkey, and it is from the Peanuts Leisure Arts booklet. It's a booklet I've shown here on my channel a few times, and I did this stitch for my parents as a gift and a kind of like a thank you gift for hosting everyone at Thanksgiving. And so I did this just on 16 count natural Aida from Charles Craft, and I used mostly called for DMCs. I did change one of the yellows, the more golden yellow in the feathers. I did change that just because I didn't like the called for. I thought it was too close to the color of Woodstock and I wanted something a little more golden and orange in tone. So I did make that change, and then I finished it on a wooden pumpkin, and I got this from Goodwill, and I just painted it yellow that I thought, you know, coordinated well with the floss, and then did like a flat finish mount and trimmed it with some jute cord and added a little bow. And that was that one. I was so pleased with how that turned out, especially because I really struggled with that project. I miscounted somewhere in that project and it just, I didn't fix it. I just was gonna fudge it, but it kept getting wonkier and wonkier as I went. But in the end, once I added back stitching and kind of made a few more adjustments, it turned out great and I'm really happy with it. The next one is this ornament. This is Decorating Owl, and this is by Jessie Schofield. And it is in the 2023 Just Cross Stitch Ornament magazine. I did this on 14 count black Aida using all the called for DMC, and I just love this project. It was so much fun to stitch, and I did it for my sister, and we did an ornament exchange, and so this was my ornament for her. It did end up being pretty large. It was like, I don't know, it was like this big when it was finished. So it was kind of a large ornament, but I was really pleased with the finish. I used like a little chenille trim and just some green felt on the back with a little white ribbon to hang it. So the next gift I have is one that I do have here in person to share with you. So this was the ornament I made for my husband this year, and this is Christmas Love by The Little Stitcher. I think this is just such a sweet one. I did this on 16 count lichen by Picture This Plus, and I used all the called for DMCs for this, and again I just did a little bit of the chenille trim, this one in white. The back of it is a kind of off-white felt, and then I added my little 2024 charm, and then the hanger here is hemp cord that you would get from like the jewelry section at the craft store. So I thought that came out so sweet. I absolutely love all of the patterns from The Little Stitcher. I'm pretty sure this one was in a Just Cross Stitch magazine at some point, but I got it off her blog as a freebie, so it is available there to download, and I will link it in the description. I'll also link anything I can in the description in terms of patterns, products, etc. So those were my 3 finishes from December and my final finishes of 2024. And then I do have 1 FFO and 1 finish from 2025. And so the FFO is this adorable little stitch. This is Winter Wonderland by Primrose Cottage. And this is the freebie chart for January in their monthly newsletter. So if you go to the Primrose Cottage website, there is a place to sign up for their newsletter. And on the first Friday of each month, you get a freebie in the newsletter. And this was the one for January. And I don't know, I am usually not a letter and words person when it comes to cross stitching, but something about this, I couldn't resist. It was so cute. And so I decided to start this on January 5th, which was the night that it first snowed, like our first true snow where I am in Virginia. We usually get about 1 good snow a winter. And so this seemed like it was going to be that storm. And so I was like, I'm going to stitch this as like my snow day winter stitch while there's actually snow on the ground. And by some miracle, the snow has lasted like all of January. It even snowed again and we got more snow. And so that's very rare for where I am in Virginia for us to have snow for like the entire month of January. But it was really nice because I got to stitch this like the entire time with like a winter wonderland outside, which was something I did not expect being in Virginia. But I stitched this on, I think this is 16 count. It looks like 16 count. So this is 16 count Ariel from Picture This Plus, and I think is just like the perfect light blue color. I absolutely love how it looks with these floss choices. The pattern is charted with some DMC and some fancy floss. I just pulled from stash colors that I thought looked close and worked well together, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. And then I actually finished it 2 nights ago, and then I just framed it last night. And so I put it in this frame that I got from Goodwill. And how perfect is this? This was one of those stitches where it was like, I got the pattern, it was gonna snow, and I saw that I had like the perfect fabric and the perfect frame for it. And so it was a no-brainer to me to stitch. And I'm just so pleased with how it turned out. And I have it displayed down in my living room with my winter decorations. All right, so those are all my FFOs. I do have another finish to share with you, and this was technically a 2024 start and a carryover to 2025, and it is this sweet little stitch. This is Rowdy J by Pigeon Coop Designs, and this is a chart from Max Pigeon's book, Cross Stitch in the Forest. This is the first thing I've stitched from that book, and I started it on the first day of winter, which I think, was that December 21st last year? Yeah, I think so. But I did this for the Flew the Coop Sal, which was hosted by Helen D. and is it Maine Moose Mama? I'll put their names on the screen and in the description because I'm just like blanking right now. But they hosted the Flew the Coop Sal, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to start stitching from this book because I've had it since August and I like want to stitch every project in this book, but I have just not had time to start it. So I used that Sal to kind of like jump into the book, and I had a great time stitching this and just am feeling very motivated to start another project from the book. I used mostly called for DMC. It is charted in DMC, and I only switched a few things. I'm really trying to stitch from my stash, and so like the light brown in this stick is not called for. One of the blues I substituted, as well as the gray that's just like 4 stitches. But the rest of it is called for. So it is mostly called for. And I did this on an 18 count fiddler's cloth from Charles Craft. I think the model in the book is on a 14 count fiddler's cloth, and I just really loved the look of it on the fiddler's cloth. And so I did decide to do that as well. I used 18 count though, because I wanted it to be small. At the time, I thought I might finish it as an ornament when I started, but I wasn't sure. So as you can see, I left myself like a huge border just in case I decided to do something different with that or with it. And I'm glad I did leave a huge border because as I was stitching, I kept changing my mind with how I wanted to finish this. And right now I think I'm going to frame it. I actually have like the perfect frame downstairs in my living room right now, but it has like a family photo in it for like part of my winter decorating. And so once I take that down and switch to like spring decorations, I think I will pull that frame and use it for this. So hopefully you will see it framed in my next Flosstube update, but I am really happy with this and it was just such a fun stitch. All right, so moving on to new starts that I haven't finished yet. I did do a new year, new start, and the chart I picked is one that I've wanted to stitch for so long, and it just took me a long time to track down the chart. So it is this chart right here. I'll put it on the screen. And this is Potato and Molasses by Clodwig something. I will put the name of the designer on the screen because I just want to make sure I'm doing them justice. It's totally escaping me right now. But this was a chart that I saw on Pinterest. The Pinterest, and pinned it to save because I was like, I'm definitely gonna do this at some point. It is an over the garden wall inspired stitch, and I think it is just like absolutely adorable. So I pinned it on Pinterest and followed the link, and it took me to an Etsy shop, a closed Etsy shop. Says it's taking a short break, but it was very clear that the shop was closed. And so I was like, oh, I can't get this pattern anymore. So for a while, I just let it sit, but it was one of those patterns that I just kept thinking about over and over and over again, and just like how much I wanted to stitch it. And so one day I did like an internet deep dive. I like pulled the image and did like a Google Lens search. I, through a series of posts, found a Reddit post where someone was asking like, where can I get this pattern? The Etsy shop is closed. And in the comments was the designer saying like, that's my pattern. I closed my Etsy shop, but you can get it on my Patreon. And so I am going to link the Patreon in case you are interested in this stitch, because I was so thrilled to see that the pattern was still available. And this is where I am right now with mine. So I am doing this on a 14 count vintage country mocha from Zweigart, and I am doing it on 14 count because I want to have a section of my craft room where I just hang over the garden wall. Like I frame and have a gallery wall essentially of over the garden wall inspired patterns and stitches. So the other one I'm doing right now, which you'll see in a moment, is Dance, Dance, Dance. And it is on 14 count black Aida. And so I wanted all of the pieces in this gallery wall to be on 14 count just so the stitching looked kind of even. I don't know if that really matters, but in my head it did. So I picked the 14 count vintage country mocha, and I am using all the called for DMC floss. I hope you can kind of see this top part on camera. It is kind of ghosting on this fabric, but I really loved how this was charted, and so I wanted to do it exactly as charted. I find that if these letters up here really, bother me by the end of the stitch, like if I really feel like I can't see them, I will pull them out and probably stitch them in white. But this is what I have so far, and this has just been such a fun stitch. I really have not spent too much time on it because I was focusing on finishing up Rowdy J and doing that Winter Wonderland stitch while there was still snow on the ground. But I am so ready to dive into focusing on this because it's been really fun to stitch, and this is one that I really, really want on my wall. And I think, again, like I am not usually a big numbers, letters, words person, but this was another one that just spoke to me. I think the schoolhouse aspect of this pattern and, the episode that it's based on, I think just like the sampler style is just perfect for this. So that is Potatoes and Molasses. And that brings me to my last project, which I've stitched on, and my only like whip that's not a new start, and that is Dance, Dance, Dance. by Mama Witch Cross Stitch on Etsy. And this one is another over the garden wall inspired stitch for me. Let me just make sure you can see everything. This is a big one. Okay, yeah, she's on here. So I have not done too much since you last saw this. I think in November I had finished my pumpkin lady and I had these 2 flowers. And so all I've done so far is this little mushroom patch, most of this flower, and I started a leaf. So that's like all I've done, which is not much. But to be fair, I just pulled this out 3 days ago because I was not going to stitch on this until like after winter. I was going to give myself a break. And I just found that this month, like 3 days ago, I was going to pull out potatoes and molasses. And then I was like, actually, I really want to stitch on Dance, Dance, Dance. Like I just really wanted to stitch with this color palette. And so I rode that itch to stitch and got a little bit done and decided to leave it in the Q-Snap because I think I would like to continue working on this through February. So we'll see. We'll see what I get done. But my plan is to work through the border, which is just like a lot of foliage. Oh, I should put the actual pattern so you can see what it looks like. Okay, I'm putting the full model on screen for you. So that's what it actually looks like. So I am working through that side border on the right side. And I think I might just follow it up and around and then leave the frog for last. Cause you know, I started with one of the main characters and I think it would be fun to end with them as well. So I am doing this on a 14 count black Aida and then all of the called for DMC floss. But okay, that is all of my stitching to share with you. I do have a few Christmas gifts I want to share, and I also wanted to talk a little bit about my plans in 2025. I'm not a big planner when it comes to cross stitch, mainly because planning and decorative planning is a hobby, and so I already have something that is very scheduled and regulated and meticulous in my life, and so I want cross stitch to kind of just be fun and however, you know, I just want to work on what I feel like working on in the moment. But I did give myself some goals, and the first goal is I want to stitch my stash. I have collected lots of patterns, and so one of my goals for 2025 is really to stitch my stash, especially when it comes to my patterns. And so my next video you'll see, no, it won't be my next video, but next month in February, probably towards the end of February, I'll have a video where I am gonna just go through all of my vintage and secondhand patterns because I got a lot that I acquired last year and a few from before that. And so I want to pull some things from that stack to stitch. Because right now I have some more modern things and some PDF patterns in mind for the year, but I really want to get some of those vintage and secondhand physical patterns in the rotation as well. So we will be going through that soon together, and that is definitely part of my Stitch My Stash effort. I am also trying to do 25 starts in 2025, which seems absolutely crazy for me because I am someone who does not like to carry a lot of whips, and in 2024 found myself, you know, limiting myself usually to 3 whips at a time. But I have heard on Flosstube over and over again, people say, like, if I don't start it, I'm not going to stitch on it. If it's started, I know I will stitch it. And that is just so true. I feel like there are so many patterns that I wanted to stitch in 2024 that I probably would be working on even just a little bit if I had started them at the time. Whereas now they're just like sitting in a bin, not getting worked on. And my urge to start some of those is gone. And so I think if I say I'm going to start 25 in 2025, it'll motivate me and kind of give myself permission to just start whatever I want to start when I want to start it. And if I get to 25, great. If I don't really care. It's more just the idea of it is okay to start new projects. And then my third goal is to finish all of my 2024 whips. And so I already finished one of them, which was Rowdy J. And then Dance Dance Dance, which you just saw, is my second one. I also have the Haunted Cuckoo Clock, which I'll put on the screen. This was the Mystery Sal from Tiny Modernist, and I am very far behind on this Sal. But I would like to get it done and hopefully framed before October so I can display it this year for Halloween. And then my last one is Halloween Silhouettes. I'll just pull it. I have it right here. Okay, and my last one is this Halloween Silhouettes. I do plan on stitching all of these small little patterns, or at least most of them, and I have 2 so far. They are on Pumpkin by, oh gosh, it's not Picture This Plus. Who is it? I have like the worst memory for this stuff. I'll put it on the screen. But this is Pumpkin, and my plan for these is to stitch as many of them as I want, and then turn them into a garland to have across my mantle at Halloween time. So those are the things I would like to finish in 2025. And in addition to those 3 like general goals, the last thing is I did make a whip go board, which is kind of general. I don't know if I'll actually do it or not, since I only have or had 4 whips I carried over, but I gave myself like very broad categories of like a seasonal stitch, a 2025 whip, or like start. I don't know, we'll see. I will update you in my next Flosstube just to let you know if I actually am doing whip go, or if it was, you know, if I'm just gonna focus on those 3 goals. But those are all of my plans. I do want to shout out 2 channels that I have really been loving lately and have been watching. And the first is Butterfly Stitches / Cotton Clay UK. That is Laura, and she is just so wonderful. She has such a great personality. So she's very fun to watch, and she has great taste in projects. I absolutely love everything she stitches. And so I feel like we all have those channels that we watch, and like while we're watching them, we're, you know, constantly adding to the list of I will stitch that one day. That's me with her. Everything she pulls out, I like go to 123 Stitch and add it to my wish list, because I just really love the things she stitches. I think her account is Butterfly Stitches, and then her shop is Cotton and Clay UK, where she makes polymer clay cross stitch accessories, which is really cool. So I will link her channel and shop below. And then the other Flosstube channel I've been watching a lot is Ladybug Stitches. This is Hannah, and she is a designer and a cross stitcher. She's another person with just such a great personality. She seems so sweet and just like really family focused. I love that she stitches a lot of projects that have important meaning to her. And I also love that she stitches a lot of smalls, because I love smalls. I struggle with big projects. My favorite thing to stitch are smalls and ornaments, and she has a fabulous ornament parade, which she shares like all the ornaments she's ever stitched, and it is so worth watching. It's how I found her channel, and I've just went back and watched all her Flosstubes because I've really been enjoying her. She also designs. I'm very interested in stitching her, I think it's called All Stacked Up series. It's like a monthly series. They're all out now, but she has like a different motif or element, and they're kind of like stacked on top of one another. They're very cute. So I think I'm trying to stitch my stash, but if I do purchase something, I really do want to start, or at least do a couple of the ones in that series. So those are 2 awesome channels that you should definitely check out. Again, I will link them in my description. I've been really loving both of them and watching them a lot. So finally, I am going to end here with a little bit of haul, and my haul really is just what I got for Christmas that is stitching related. Hey, editing charity here. I am popping on real quick because I realized while editing this video that I completely forgot to share the ornaments that my sister made for me and my family as part of our ornament exchange. I had them packed away with our other Christmas ornaments, and so I totally forgot to pull them out for the video when I was filming originally, but they are just too cute not to share with you, and they are definitely Stitchy related Christmas gifts. So I'm going to talk about them here, and then I will get back to, you know, filming charity and share the rest of my stitching related Christmas gifts. But these are the sweet stitches that my sister did for me and my family. She was so kind. We had talked about doing an ornament exchange, and I only stitched one ornament for her, but she did one for each member of my family, and they came out so cute. This little cow my daughter saw and immediately was like, that one's mine. She's 2.5, by the way, and she claimed it. So I don't think that was my sister's intention. I think this one was supposed to be mine, but it is my daughter's now. And she also did this sweet penguin with the tea mug. I love this. I drink so much tea, so I'll take that one. And also this sweet snowman, which I think is gonna be my husband's moving forward now that we are all switched around. But she did just a sweet small hoop. I think, what would this be? Maybe a 3-inch, I would say a 3-inch hoop finish. And she put green felt on the back of each of them, and then has this really nice sparkly silver ribbon at the top. And it looks like she stitched all of these on a 14 count Aida. I can't tell in this lighting if it's a true white Aida or if it's off-white color. But either way, it's like perfect. It's a nice neutral background, and my sister just has such even stitches. I'm always amazed whenever I see her work. She like keeps the same tension throughout her projects, and they always come out beautiful. So I am very grateful for these, and definitely wanted to make sure I shared them with you. All right, so the first is this book, Magical Cross Stitch, and this is by Lindsay of Tuscan Cardinal, and I believe she has another one. Oh yeah, Creepy Cross Stitch is her other one. I got this as a gift from my husband's grandmother, and it was just so sweet. She kind of like took us to a bookstore and let us get whatever book we wanted, and so I picked this one. It has so many just like magical and witchy designs in it. I love this green man design right here, but like very earthy, witchy, very good fall, Halloween, fun stuff. And so I am not going to do a flip through of this because I haven't covered up any of the charts. I'm like not prepared to, but there are flip throughs of this online, and I am very excited to stitch some things from this year. My mother-in-law got me she got me a kit and a pattern. So the pattern is this, the Weeds and Wildflowers pattern from the Artsy Housewife. And this is one, I hope you can see it through maybe I'll take it out of the bag. Okay, that's better. So there's not so much glare, but this one is just so pretty. I love the colors in this, and basically, I gave her a link to my 1-2-3 stitch wish list and said like I would be happy with anything off this list, and she did a great job. She picked this pattern, which I think I would like to stitch in like late August, early September. This feels like a summer turning into fall pattern to me, with just gorgeous colors. And then the other thing she got is this RTO kit, and this is called Wish Tree. This one I really hope you can see because I'm not taking the kit out of this plastic because, you know, I just don't want this stuff everywhere. But it has all the floss. Like, look at these colors. So bright and beautiful. It has a 16 count printed Aida with this gorgeous purple color. And then the pattern itself is like such a sweet image of this girl with an owl on her shoulder and the fox. And then it's like this beautiful rainbow feather tree. I can't. It's just so pretty. So I'm very excited to start this. It's, I think, a 12 by 12. It's in centimeters. Yeah, I think it would be 12 by 12 inches, and that's big for me. But it's definitely not full coverage. Like, all this purple is the Ada coming through. And so I think it's definitely doable. And it reminds me of my daughter who loves owls. And it's just like this girl with an owl, like so sweet. So I'll either stitch this for her to go into her room or like for the family to remind us of her and have it somewhere displayed in the house. But I'm very excited to start this. And this definitely will be a start sometime this year. I might start it in May for her birthday. That would be a fun birthday start. But yeah, that will do it for everything in this video. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really hope that you had a wonderful holiday season and that your first month of 2025 was as smooth and wonderful as it could possibly be. I know it can be tough in the dead of winter. And so I'm just sending everybody lots of love and gratitude. If this is your first time watching, thank you for joining me. If you're a returner, it's so good to have you back. I, again, will be posting next month a Flosstube extra where we go through all of my secondhand patterns. And then I usually do my Flosstube updates every 2 months. And so my next regular Flosstube update will probably be in March. So I hope you will stick around for those. And in general, thank you so much for being with me. I hope you are well, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.